What's up, guys? It's Bolt, and I'm back. And this time, I'm bringing you some brand new, hot off the press news about Remnant 2. We just got some new info on the Archetype system, completely different new system that this game has implemented compared to the last Remnant game, which you guys remember. You basically didn't have a starting class, so everybody could do everything. You could buy the starting gear right off the bat, and you could eventually unlock every trait in the game. So there was really no class system in that game. Basically, the build solely revolved around your gear combinations, but in this game, it is completely different. This is off their official website, so we're going to go over it together, break it down, a little bit of speculation, and just bounce what we think is going to be coming soon to us in the comment section. So let's get right into it, guys. All right, so one of the biggest features of Remnant 2 is the completely revamped archetype system. In the original game, archetypes served as an initial gear loadout designed to provide a solid starting point for your journey based around a few different playstyles. Through play, everything was eventually available to every character, no matter what archetype you started with. The only requirement was you simply had to go out and earn it. In Remnant 2, your starting choice matters. Love to hear that. While Archetype still comes with a custom gear loadout consisting of their trademark armor set, three completely unique weapons, and their signature Archetype trait. Okay, that's new, Archetype trait. They also come with two amazing new additions, Archetype Perks and Archetype Skills. Okay, that sounds pretty awesome. These new features are unlocked by gaining experience and leveling up the archetype. Yep, you heard that right. Each archetype has its own independent progression that unlocks exclusive gameplay features unique to that archetype. So let's talk about what that means. All right, so essentially each class is going to come with three different types of things unique to that specific class. So we're going to have perks, skills, and the own trait. So this is pretty interesting to see. Here's a screenshot of it, of the pre-up screenshot. Looks like perks. Okay, so I see prime perk here. So this is the what the perks are going to be looking like. Let's get off. All right, first off, archetype perks. All right, so we're gonna discuss the perks here. There are five perk types: prime, damage, team, utility, and relic. The prime perk encompasses the core identity of the archetype and typically provides a benefit that no other archetype or item can provide. As we reveal more details on individual archetypes, the importance of this perk will come into full view. Okay, so they're kind of vague on the prime perks, so we don't know too much of what's going on there. Hopefully they'll reveal some information soon on that. So that one's kind of vague. Can't really speculate on what that is gonna do, but let's get into the next one. This one seems self-explanatory. The damage perk is exactly what it sounds like. It's the perk that scales the damage output of your character and gains effectiveness as you level up the archetype. One archetype may gain a ranged and melee damage buff from their damage perk, while another may get a boost to mod power or even skill damage. More on skills later. All right, cool. So obviously they brought back the different damage types. We're gonna have ranged, melee. Let's see, we see mod there, and now skills. So now that we have skills, that's a whole new damage um, set that we have there. So the damage perk could boost this, depending on which class you have. Will boost their respective type of damage output. So that's pretty cool. The team perk affects all allies, whether you play alone or in a group. Some examples would be increased ammo drops, shared healing, or even boosting team defense. Each team perk is unique and provides a little extra kick to your gameplay while also benefiting the team in a co-op scenario. So this is one is interesting to me because it says it affects whether you play alone or in a group. So are we gonna have team NPC players? Are there gonna be NPCs that team up with us? So if I play solo, is Ford going to be able to team up with me and I can boost him? Is that what they mean? Or it says increased ammo box, so I can on the ammo drops. I can see that working for a solo. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Getting more ammo drops, but what about shared healing or team defenses? Is just going to boost my defense? How's this working? Gonna be interesting to see how that works on a solo standpoint. Excuse me. Obviously we know how that's gonna work in a co-op scenario. So let's see. Looking forward to see how that works solo. The utility perk is considered a quality of life perk. It is typically a small buff that blends well with the rest of the archetype's gameplay elements. For example, if an enemy archetype gameplay loop is reliant on sprinting and evading, their utility perk might reduce stamina cost. All right, so that's pretty cool. Might be useful for if they do it the same way, like how if you're melee while you're meleeing, you don't recover stamina, something like that. So maybe that'll help with that. So if you want to go melee build or something like that, obviously sprinting is great, especially if um, you're playing survival and you want to just run through the levels. I don't know how if they're gonna incorporate survival mode in this game, but if they do, this will be a useful one towards the later levels. You can just sprint through um, dungeons when you already got your gear set up and stuff like that. But yeah, the quality of life is always good. So looking forward to seeing what they do with that. The relic perk is a temporary effect that becomes active for a short duration after using a relic, quote unquote, or parentheses Dragonheart. These buffs can often turn the tide of battle, but are limited by the availability of your relic charges. For damage archetypes, the relic perks are damage based. For support archetypes, these are support based, etc. Consume a relic to get a boost, but remember they are also your primary heal. Oh, so this is pretty cool. This actually reminds me of the trinket that we had created in the Hell mod, Frenetic Shard. Consuming a Dragon Heart gives you like a 30% crit chance and damage for like 10 seconds. So you sacrifice a Dragon Heart, but you get a huge boost in damage. So that was really cool. In this, they actually have it as a perk, which is nice. So you're gonna have different abilities depending on your archetype on what your dragon hearts do, besides healing you what the dragon hearts will do. So that's actually pretty cool, and I'm going to assume that they're going to be very powerful since they are limited in use. So going to be cool to see what we could come up with that. As you gain more experience, your archetype perks will become more powerful. However, that's not the only thing you get from leveling up. All right, here we got a cool picture of the ravager infected with the root. Let's talk about archetype skills. All right, so we talked about perks. Now we got the skills. Archetype skills are special abilities that can only be used by that archetype. So unlike weapon mods from the original game, which usually added an alt fire and could be swapped between weapons, archetype skills cannot be shared between archetypes. For example, if you want to use that special healing archetype skill, you'll have to use the archetype it's attached to. All right, so this is where your class matters. So each class is going to be unique and have their own skills, and they cannot be interswapped or swapped between other classes. It's like this is who you got, and this is the skills that they have, and this is what you got to use. So if you want something else, you'll have to switch to that class. The second major feature of archetype skills is that they only operate on a cooldown as opposed to the mod power buildup of mod weapons. Since skills provide powerful buffs, auras, and even pure damage and healing, they are limited due to time. Using them at the right moment is essential. All right, so after reading that, that kind of reminds me of how Outriders was. I don't know if any of you guys played Outriders, but that was a skill. Each class had three skills that you set up, and they were all down on a cooldown. They had different things like gear that you could use to decrease the cooldowns of your skills. So I'm wondering if Remnant will add something similar to that, where they could decrease your skills. So that's actually really cool. So the cooldown is nice to have, so you don't spam just endlessly, mindlessly, whatever. But if you build around it properly, hopefully they incorporate stuff like that where you could decrease the cooldown time and build around it properly. You could have a really strong skill where you could spam more often and across the board like that. Then that would be pretty awesome. But we'll see what we get. Oh, and don't worry, weapon mods haven't gone anywhere. Beautiful, you love to see it. Weapon mods were the thing that made Remnant very special, made the combat amazing. So I'm glad they brought that back. So now we have perks, we have skills, traits, weapon mod. We have so much going on here, guys. This is insane. Did we mention that each archetype has three archetype skills to choose from? Okay, interesting. So each archetype has three skills, not just one. I originally thought from reading it we just had one skill, but three. That's insane. That's right. While each archetype can only slot one skill at a time, you may freely switch between unlocked skills when out of combat at no cost. Tough boss battle coming? Perhaps you should switch over to defense. Maybe something more offense in the cards instead. It's up to you. That's amazing, guys. So now we have even more choice, more diversity in what and how we want to play. So a lot of I'm liking I'm liking what I'm reading a lot, guys. This sounds amazing. Here we got Rays on steroids here. We saw that in the trailer. More on the archetype trait. All right, so now we did perks, we did skills. Now we're up to traits. Earlier we briefly touched on archetype trait. but it's a much more important part of the archetype system in a Remnant 2. Each archetype still comes with its own trait. That's just like the first game, though, you say. And you'd be right. However, there's more to it. Yeah, so remember in the first game, guys, like Cultist started with Spirit, and Hunter started with what's that one? The one that lets you sneak around. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's what they're alluding to there. First, the trait is locked to that specific archetype. So again, guys, so whatever class you pick, you select, that trait is with that specific class. Other classes will not be able to use that. Unlike the first Remnant, where anybody could use Spirit. So this is unique. Second, as you level up your archetype, you automatically gain +1 into that trait. You don't have to spend any of your hard-earned points. It's free. This is vastly important in Remnant 2 because total trait points are limited. Wow, that's huge, guys. Total trait points are limited, so we won't have the Jack of all trade 1,000 trait level super beast players. You actually have to choose your points wisely according to what kind of build you're going for. That is, I think that's so awesome, guys, because that really is going to make your builds unique and yeah, having to sacrifice certain things just makes yeah, I don't know, I love it, man. Just like when you're playing like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, and you want to stop at level 125, which was the meta, and you actually have to make decisions on your build to see what you wanted to do. And I really like this. It makes theory crafting and build crafting so much more fun for me. I love making builds. So, anyway, let's get into it. You can no longer have every trait maxed out. You'll have to decide what traits to spend on and what traits to forego. Decisions. This is why getting a fully maxed out archetype trait for free at maximum archetype level is huge. Third, when your archetype reaches maximum level, the archetype trait is unlocked and can be used for any build you wish. Oh, okay. So then once we max out our trait, then I guess it's interchangeable to other classes that we select. The only caveat is that if it's used in a build that doesn't belong to you, you'll have to spend your trait points on it. So instead of getting it for free in its respective class, if you put it on a different class, you're gonna have to spend the trait points on it. So that's even more build diversity right there, though. For example, you may play a support archetype that comes with a healing effectiveness trait. Once you get that archetype maxed out, you can now utilize that trait on your DPS character, but it will cost you. Of course, your DPS archetype comes with their own traits too. So this is going to be cool to see how the community, kind of creates sort of a tier system with traits to see which traits are going to be the most important and which traits are going to be the least important, and which we could sacrifice, and then maybe bring in to fill up those weaker traits that aren't going to be really suitable for that build. You can bring in traits from other classes, which is going to be really cool. So all right, here we got the labyrinth, it looks like, guys. Picture of the labyrinth. Unlocking archetypes. So this is usually the point where people ask, am I locked into my starting archetype? And the short answer is, of course not. This is Remnant. Picking your starting archetype only determines your initial playstyle. In Remnant, you can change your weapons, your armors, mods, rings, and more, so it should be no surprise you can also change your archetype. What's the catch? Well, you'll have to earn it. This means that even if you pick an archetype that caught your eye at the start, you can still unlock all of the starting archetypes. You don't even need to start a new game to use them because as soon as you unlock another archetype, you can switch to it. You have to use your starting arc. You could have your starting archetype at level 7, discover a new one, and then immediately change. You'll need to level that new archetype up to reap the benefits of their perk skills and archetype trait, but that's your choice to make. Archetypes are unlocked in a multitude of ways, and we'll leave that for the community to discover. All right, so I like that. This is amazing that we can just switch archetypes on the fly. We have to discover them, which is going to encourage exploration. That's going to add more replayability to the game. So definitely liking that. It's going to make everybody search for every nook and cranny, especially on release. Everybody's going to want to find the most powerful archetypes or whatever archetypes suit their playstyle. Then everybody's going to bombard Discord and YouTube like, this archetype just discovered, that archetype just discovered, new OP, all the clickbait you're gonna see. So this is gonna be a lot of fun on release, guys. When people start finding all the cool stuff in the game. Here's our boy Ravager again, and the sick armor set with the saw sword. Looks amazing, guys. Why the archetype overhaul? In the original game, we received a lot of feedback from players who wished that the archetypes meant something beyond just starting loadout. We fully agreed. So we went about designing a system that encapsulated the guiding tenets of Remnant. You can still collect everything, your effort will be rewarded in kind, and the journey will be met with a sense of mystery and wonder. This meant that we couldn't, meaning didn't want to, hardlock players into their starting choice. And it also meant that we had some really special rewards for players that put in the extra effort. Additionally, each new archetype perk and archetype skill unlock should inspire new build ideas. When you unlock a new element to your archetype, we hope it inspires you to think that all the other gear you've obtained to that point and what new combinations are now possible. Another sick picture here, guys. This is that Bloodborne-esque type vibe that we were talking about in the trailer. This ghoul-looking character, some cowboy-looking armor set here, and our boy with the heavy armor and the sword looks amazing. And then we doubled it. At this point, we're certain there's been a lot to digest for new players and returning players alike. Damn right. But there's one final element to Archetype System that we hope blows your socks off. Two words: dual archetypes. Holy crap! That's right, dual archetypes, two at the same time, double perks, double skills, double traits. Along your journey, you will eventually unlock the ability to combine any two of your archetypes to create a class. Each archetype will have all their perks, all their skills, and both of their traits represented within a class. The only exception is the prime perk we talked about earlier. Okay, so the prime perk is stuck to that specific class that you pick. I remember that. Depending on which archetype is the first slot, okay, so you can slot which archetype is the main and which is like the secondary, aka the prime slot, their prime perk will be activated. The archetype in the new second slot will not have access to their prime perk. Archetypes in the prime slot will have added benefits to their skills. Things like increased effectiveness, additional charges, shorter cooldowns, etc. Oh, that's freaking sick, guys. So we'll have, I'm assuming, well, since we don't have access to the prime perks, well, prime trait. I'm sorry, we won't have access to the secondary archetypes traits, but we'll have access to their perks and their skills. So you could combine that with your primary archetype and just create some type of Frankenstein monster beast build. Oh my god, this sounds amazing to me, guys. As an example, a DPS archetype prime plus support archetype class combo will be different than the same support archetype prime plus DPS archetype. In the first example, the DPS archetype will be featured and thus have their prime perk available. Their archetype skills will also be enhanced, so it's safe to assume their DPS capabilities will be enhanced. In the secondary example, the support archetype will have their prime perk available instead of the DPS archetype's prime perk. Additionally, their archetype skills will be enhanced, which lends to better overall support capabilities. Each dual archetype class combination will have its own name. Depending on which prime perk is active, it will be added as a prefix to that class. For example, DPS archetype prime perk violence, support archetype prime perk preserving, DPS class unnamed, support class violet guardian. Ah, okay, I see what they mean. These are just examples. Since every class dual archetype combo has its own name, that name automatically attains a prefix which comes directly from the main archetype's prime perk. We designed the system to make it easy to recognize what the primary focus is for any class combination, but to also recognize the individual archetypes by keeping the same core class name. And here's our boy with the heavy armor. In the end, if the goal of the archetype system is to give players a playstyle foundation that they can build around with gear choices, then the goal of the dual archetype class combination system is to provide them with an outlet for true build creativity and self expression. Make the class the best suits you and supplement it with your favorite gear to truly make it one of a kind. What combination will you create? Guys, holy crap. All of this sounds freaking amazing. You guys know how much I love to make builds in all of these types of games. Remnant, with the limited gear that we had, look how many builds I was able to make with. This sounds from to me that we're gonna have endless build possibilities. Because keep in mind, guys, first we have traits, um, traits specific to the archetype that you pick. We have perks, we have skills, we have mods. All these things that could be all interchanged and combined and twisted and turned and flipped and this and that. Plus, you have the dual archetype system. So we, guy, it sounds like the diversity is going to be endless for making a build, and this is going to bring a lot of replay value into the game. That's what kept me from playing Remnant. That's what kept me going playing Remnant 1 was just the sheer number of builds that I was creating and just making the game unique in every way. Every time I played it in a different way because of all the different gear, the armor sets. It's like this sounds like it's that on steroids. So imagine like I have like almost 3,000 hours played in Remnant 1. So imagine how many hours I'm gonna have in Remnant 2, especially if they add survival or who knows what other modes they may add in this one. Uh, this is just fantastic news, guys. I am so hyped, super excited. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Please comment below. What do you guys think this new system is going to be? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Do you think this is hurting? Do you guys prefer the original Remnant 1 system? Keep in mind, guys, I really did enjoy the Remnant 1 system. It was very simple, and it was the interface was clean, very easy to use. It wasn't complicated. Sometimes games overcomplicate things, with massive skill trees and this and that, whatever, and then it just turns you off from the game. It's like this is just too much. So I did appreciate that in Remnant 1, the simplicity of it, and I hope that does transition over to Remnant 2. Although you do see this is pretty seems pretty overwhelming at first, but who knows, man? These guys, this is Gunfire Games are amazing game developers, so I'm sure they're coming up with some type of system to make this very user friendly and not complicated at all to make builds, and it's gonna be pretty effortless. Um, I don't know, I just get that vibe, man. These guys are amazing developers, so but I did appreciate that in Remnant 1. Looking forward to this change in Remnant 2, guys. This is what sequels are all about. You want to just improve upon your first game. The first game was a masterpiece, in my opinion, one of my favorite games of all time. So topping that is going to be pretty difficult, but I have the all-time faith in Gunfire Games to even surpass what they did with Remnant 1. Remnant 1 was a very special game, and unfortunately, it went under the radar to a lot of people. I know the trailer for Remnant 2 actually brought a lot of light to Remnant 1. A lot more people are playing it. So I'm really hoping that it just takes off, goes crazy, and they get the recognition that they deserve, man. Again, the build possibilities seem endless. Again, we're gonna summarize this right now. We got trait, we got the archetype system. Archetypes come with a trait, a skill, and a perk. Then you get the dual archetype where you combine two archetypes, but you get the trait of the one you select as your primary, and then you get the skills. It seems like maybe the perks from the secondary, and then it's up to you to choose which from the both that you want to use. Then you got mods, guys, from the weapons or whatever. It sounds incredible, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna be build crafting, theory crafting left and right. So many videos, so much content I'm gonna be able to make from this and show you guys some fun ways to play the game. I'm always trying to find unique ways to play the game, have a good time with it. So I'm really looking forward to it, guys. Man, this is some great news. It's like another Christmas gift for me. It came early again. The next news we do need though, Gunfire, please give us a release date for this game. We need this release date ASAP so we could start preparing to call out sick from work, or vacations, whatever the case may be. Gunfire, please, if you're listening, release date, please. But that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Please let me know your thoughts on this new system. Are you guys scared? Are you guys nervous that this is gonna, you know, change Remnant? Are you guys excited that this is gonna be like just a superior way to play the game? For me, I'm excited. I like having to make sacrifices, and actually, my class matters more in this game. So I'm excited because I do like the way Elden Ring, Dark Souls have. You got to have sacrifices for your builds, and makes each build unique from all the other players that you're playing with. So I'm all in favor of this, but I'm curious to hear everybody's comments below. And what did you think of this essay that was written here? I will link it in the description box so you guys can read it on your own. Did I misread something? Am I misinterpreting something? How did you guys interpret this? Please leave that in the comments below. But that's it, guys. I will keep giving you guys up to date news as I get it, as I see it on this channel for Remnant. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll catch everyone on the next one.